North Terrace, Adelaide, in the early 1900s. I see, still using horse and cart. I also can't help but notice all the beautiful buildings in the background. Must have taken such a long time to build with such primitive tools. Well, come to find out, it didn't. Is that because the history we're being told is false? Would it surprise you? I remember hearing 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We'll be focusing on a lot of these buildings here on North Terrace. Not all, just the ones they said were built in the 1880s. Today I'm going to take some of these beautiful buildings and question the official narrative. And ask the question, is the history we're being told true or false? The second building from the left hand side is a library, or Jervis Wing. Because you need such a library, such an extravagant building for such a busy city. Then we will talk about the Mitchell building, with this beautiful spire here. The spire seems like an extraordinary amount of effort to go to. And then we have the Jubilee Hall. A grand old building like this would be such an expensive process, something that would be heritage listed and you would never knock down. And finally, down the end of the road, the Elder Hall. We will come to these buildings in a bit, but our journey starts from 1879 to 1881. We're going back in time to relive the history of the Torrens building. The origins of the Torrens building came from the fact by the mid-1870s office space for public servants in Adelaide was becoming scarce. The Treasury building, also on Victoria Square, had become incapable of housing the required number of government workers to effectively run the colony. The South Australian government announced a competition for the submission of tenders for a design for a new building on the corner of Victoria Square and Wakefield Streets. The designs were to be within a budget of $50,000. In 1877, the winner of this competition was revealed as Michael Egan, a Melbourne architect who is famous for his designs of public buildings in New South Wales. It was announced that all of his submissions and only one other fell within the budget of $50,000. It was not only the architectural planning of the Torrens building that was mired in controversy, the actual construction itself also involved considerable public concern when it was announced that the new building would utilise stone imported from New South Wales rather than local South Australian stone. Construction work began on site in 1879 and was fully completed in 1881. So, did his story make any sense to you? There is no way people of this era could build something like this in 2+ years. Again, do these people look capable of this? It's not just the time frame that don't make any sense. The project was shrouded in controversy because people believe it didn't have enough office space required. But this design won because of budget. Then they decided to use Sydney stone. Really, bring stone over 1,000 kilometres to build this building? I thought you went with this design because of budget. So again, are we being lied to about our history? Was this building really built by these people? So moving on to the beautiful Mitchell building. To also look out for in these old photos of the muddy roads. Keep that in mind and ask yourself, why do we have so many grand buildings yet we don't have roads? That was evident in the photos of the Torrens building. You often see this. The Mitchell building foundation was laid in 1879 and opened in 1892, but partially completed in 1881. Another ridiculous time frame given the tools they had. Shovels, chisels, horse and car. And you have to ask yourself, was all this building necessary? The sort of detailing they put in, and how over the top and grand it was? The Norwood Town Hall, such a busy city, needs such a grand building. Built from 1881 to 1883. These roads on the right hand side also look muddy to me. Another building built in just 2 years. And then we move on to the Jervis Wing, better known as the Adelaide Library, built in just 5 years from 1879 to 1884. Built during the periods of the Mitchell building, the Torrens building, but I guess there were just so many stonemason back then. Such a busy city needs such a grand library, I guess. Now this is getting ridiculous. The Jubilee Hall, built in just 1 year, 1886 to 1887. At least the people who wrote this fake history made it obvious. A building like this, they must have been working during the night, basically 24/7. Paying people get overtime gets expensive, so we'd want to preserve such a building the best we can. But no, look at it now. Maybe they destroyed it because if people read the dates and constructed on the plaque, people would start asking questions. Rewind 2 years to the year 1885. Well, 2 years in Adelaide history is really more like 10 years. However, something amazing happened in 1885. The Adelaide Arcade was built, and in that same year it was completed. Yes, just 5 months it took to build this extraordinary building. It is said 200 men took only 5 months. It contained marble from Kapunda and floor tiles from the UK. Over 2 million bricks, 50,000 square feet of imported glass. So if you didn't think it could get any more ridiculous, it just did. So something also very interesting, and if you're familiar with this sort of topic, you would understand about the mud flood and stuff, which I will get into more later on. Beneath the main floor was an underground chamber where patrons could enjoy refreshments. While the entrance was closed for many years, the tea rooms are now visible through a glass floor that has been built over the original ironwork staircase. So there's no obvious mud flood evidence just from looking at it, but there are underground chambers, and they actually do ghost tours now, and this would be taking you underground. I think I remember doing this now that I've been looking at this. I did this when I was at school very young, and yes, it would take you underground and you can do these sort of ghost tour things, so that's just very interesting. So the last building I'm going to talk about today is the Elder Hall, built from 1898 to 1900s, just 2 years once again. And take a look at this. You have this little half-built pergola right in front of this grand building behind. So right there, in this photo, you can see the difference in the building skills. This is why people argue that these buildings weren't built by European settlers in the late 1800s like they say they were. And here, has this been a victim of the cataclysm? Can't see it that great, but in this photo, there's a sort of half underground window and we have mud coming up to various different heights of the building. So the Elder Hall right here, yes, you can see the foundation stone laid in 1898 and it was opened in 1900s officially. The council decided that half of his final bequest would be used to establish a conservatorium of music, and the other half to erect a building to house it. So they wanted a concert hall basically is the idea. So again, why did a concert hall have to be so grand? You know, why couldn't they build something more simple and more simplistic? And like all those other buildings, all these details have been chiseled with hand chisels, and they didn't have any power tools to do any of this stuff and cut any of this stone. And so you really got to ask yourself the question, you know, like I've been reiterating, like, is our history fake and have we been lied to? Because look at this. So I'm going to finish this video and look at the mud flood. So first we'll look at these buildings on North Terrace. First building we're looking at is the Mitchell building. Sorry for the buffering. Computer didn't want to play the game, but you see the spire there. Just grand building. Then we always see this around this sort of university campus here. These are quote unquote basements here. I don't think they're basements. I think we're not at the original street level. So you get the picture anyway, so we'll move on. So this is the Jervis wing, the library that I went through. And it wouldn't let me get any closer, but I have walked around all these buildings and they're all mud flooded. And yes, again, the computer wasn't playing the game. So here's the Elder Hall, beautiful grand building. We can go around the back of this one, so that's good. Again, same theme. Got these dugout sort of half basement type things. But again, we're not at original street level. Maybe this explains why when I look through all these old photos of Adelaide, I see that they're pushing all this stone around on muddy roads in horse and cart. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. So here we go, the Torrens building. I showed you this before, but I'll show you again. And yeah, as you can see, the same sort of thing. You've got these random half underground windows. And yeah, so you got to ask your question, what's going on? And you might think that no, they're just basements, but just go have a look for yourself next time you walk around your city. So I'm going to leave it there today. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.